My mother humiliated my gift at the Christmas dinner. 3 weeks later, everything changed. My mother didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. She held the gift in her hands, tilted it slightly, and smiled the way she always did when she wanted everyone else to notice something without saying it directly. "This is creative," she said. The table went quiet in that subtle way that only families know. Not silence, attention. I felt it before I understood it. My chest tightened. My shoulders stiffened. My hands went still in my lap, as if movement might make it worse. She turned the gift once more, examining it like an object that required commentary. "You really went with this?" she added lightly, almost amused. A few people smiled. One person let out a soft laugh, unsure if it was appropriate but unwilling to be the only one not reacting. I smiled too. It happened automatically. I had learned over years that my face would protect me faster than my mind ever could. The gift wasn't expensive. That wasn't the point. It was something I'd chosen carefully, with thought, with memory. Something connected to a story she once told me, years ago, back when she still spoke to me like I mattered. I watched her reduce it to a moment of entertainment. She didn't insult it directly. She didn't have to. She placed it back in the box slowly, deliberately, as if concluding a small performance. "Well," she said, "it's the thought that counts." She smiled again. This time people laughed. Not loudly. Just enough. I felt something separate inside me. An internal step backward, like watching myself from a distance. The rest of dinner continued. Food was passed. Conversations shifted. Someone talked about work. Someone complained about traffic. No one returned to the moment. No one checked my face. No one asked if I was okay. I ate quietly. I nodded when spoken to. I laughed when required. Inside, I felt hollowed out with precision. This wasn't new. That was the part that hurt most. It fit too neatly into a pattern I had spent years pretending didn't exist. My mother had always been careful with me, not cruel, precise. She corrected me publicly and praised me privately, if at all. She questioned my choices casually, in front of others, as if my life were an open discussion. She never raised her voice. She never said anything that could be quoted as abuse. Everything was framed as humor, concern, honesty. If I reacted, I was sensitive. If I stayed quiet, I was mature. Either way, the outcome was the same. I learned to disappear gracefully. After dinner, I helped clean up. I always did. I gathered plates that weren't mine. I wiped counters already clean. I stayed busy so no one would ask me how I felt. My mother thanked me absent-mindedly, already engaged in another conversation. I drove home that night with the radio off. The silence felt more honest. At home, I placed my coat on the chair and sat down without turning on a light. I replayed the moment in fragments. Her smile, the pause, the laughter, the way no one intervened. I told myself it shouldn't matter. It was just a comment, just a moment. But my body didn't believe that story. My body knew this moment had weight because it joined so many others. Birthdays where my gifts were compared. Achievements acknowledged, then minimized. Decisions questioned, then retold incorrectly to others. I had always been the one she edited. I slept poorly that night. Over the next few days, I felt different around my family. Not angry, clear. Something about the dinner had stripped away my last defense. Hope. Hope that I was imagining it. Hope that she didn't mean it. Hope that one day, if I chose better words or better timing or a better version of myself, things would shift. The humiliation wasn't loud. It was public. That distinction mattered. It meant she was comfortable showing me where I stood. 3 weeks passed. Christmas decorations came down. Life returned to its usual pace. I didn't bring it up. I never did. Instead, I observed. I noticed how often my mother spoke for me, how she reframed my silence as agreement, how she told stories about me that subtly reduced my role, my effort, my presence. I noticed how easily she received support and how rarely she offered it downward. I started responding less, not dramatically. I took longer to reply to messages. I shared fewer details. I declined invitations I would have forced myself to attend before. I didn't announce this shift. I simply stopped performing. The change didn't go unnoticed. It never does. My mother asked if something was wrong. Her tone was casual, concerned enough to sound reasonable. I said I was busy. That was true. Busy noticing how much energy I had spent managing her comfort. Busy realizing how much quieter my life felt when I stopped explaining myself. She asked again a few days later. Then again. Each time I gave her nothing to push against. No accusations, no emotional language, just distance. That unsettled her more than confrontation ever would have. 3 weeks after Christmas dinner, she called me. Her voice was different, not sharp, not amused, careful. She asked if we could talk. I said yes. She started by mentioning how long it had been since we'd spent time together. She framed it as concern, then confusion, then hurt. I feel like you've pulled away, she said. I let the silence stretch. She filled it. I don't know what I did. There it was. The sentence I had heard my entire life. I thought about the gift, the table, the laughter. I thought about how easily that moment had been dismissed because it wasn't dramatic enough to defend. I didn't bring it up, not directly. I said something simpler. I don't feel safe being myself around you. The line went quiet. She didn't respond immediately. When she did, her voice was softer. Defensive softness. She told me I was misinterpreting things, that she jokes with everyone, that she didn't mean anything by it, that I was reading too much into a harmless comment. I listened. I had listened my whole life. This time, something was different. I wasn't trying to convince her. I was deciding something for myself. I'm not asking you to agree, I said. I'm telling you how it landed. She sighed. She said families hurt each other sometimes. She said I needed to let things go. She said holding on to moments like that only creates distance. I thought about how distance was already there. I just wasn't pretending otherwise anymore. I already let it go, I said. I'm just not stepping back into it. That was when everything changed. Not because she apologized. She didn't. Not because she understood. She didn't. But because I felt something inside me settle. A boundary I had never named finally took shape. She grew frustrated. Her tone sharpened. She reminded me of everything she had done for me, of how much she sacrificed, of how difficult I was being. The familiar script. This time I didn't argue. I didn't defend. I didn't shrink. I need space, I said. The words felt steady, not angry, not cruel. True. She went quiet again. Then she asked quietly if I was punishing her. I realized then how differently we understood power. I wasn't trying to hurt her. I was trying to stop hurting myself. We ended the call politely. She told me to think about what I was doing. I told her I already had. In the days that followed, I felt a mix of grief and relief. Grief for the relationship I had wanted. Relief that I was no longer chasing it. My mother reached out again. Her messages were longer, more emotional. She told me she missed me, that she didn't recognize this version of me, that I was shutting her out. I read them slowly. I noticed how often the focus returned to her feelings, how rarely she asked about mine. I responded briefly. Kindly. Firmly. I didn't rehash the dinner. I didn't need to. That moment had already done its work. 3 weeks earlier, she had shown me how little she considered my dignity in front of others. Now she was learning how little access she had to me when she did. The shift wasn't dramatic. There were no apologies at the door, no emotional speeches, no tears. Just a gradual recalibration. She became more careful with her words. Not kinder, more cautious. She noticed my absence. She noticed my silence. She noticed that I no longer filled space for her. That was the change. Not in her heart, in her awareness. I still attend family gatherings. I still bring gifts. I still show up. But I no longer hand over the parts of myself that can be used for entertainment. I sit where I want. I speak when I choose. I leave when it feels right. The gift from that Christmas sits in a drawer now, not because it was meaningless, because it marked the moment I stopped pretending. Humiliation doesn't always break you. Sometimes it clarifies you. Sometimes it shows you exactly where the line is. And once you see it, you don't cross it again.